Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. Earlier today, Blizzard pushed a handful of changes to Warlock, Destruction, a little bit to Demonology on 10.1 PTR, and the Destro 2-piece, 4-piece is now fixed. It's bugged again, but in a different way. It's been overhauled as well. So today, we'll be looking at that, talk about the changes, looking at the 2-piece in single target AoE, and yeah, just going from there. As always, WeCourse add-ons or profiles, links down below. Twitch and Discord, all free for you guys. And as usual, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons as well. Guys, thank you for supporting on Patreon a million times. Really appreciate it. Heads up, the Warlock 10.1 PTR spreadsheet will indeed be live on Patreon in about a week or so. The Tier 3 Felguard rank or higher gets early access to that if you're interested. Yeah, with that being said, let's just get right into the changes. Alright, so getting into the Warlock changes today, there are two different posts here, one from Wowhead, one from Blizzard being a blue post. I'm going to talk about both because there's a couple of changes between them that aren't highlighted in one and the other. So, yeah. Now, like I said, the retail nerfs to Affliction, the Aura nerf, has indeed now hit PTR for this week's testing. The Aura nerf is here for Affliction, scrolling down to a similar extent. Grimoire of Sack has been nerfed, Dark Lair has been nerfed. I didn't think Dark Lair, the nerf's warranted. I think it should have been reverted, but it is what it is. Drink. Anyways, Demonic Strength nerfs here as well. Now, there are two things here that are new. First, if you're a PvPer, Rapid Contagion now costs 0 soul shards. That's pretty cool. I don't do that, but hey, that's awesome. The PvE changes, though. So from the Shadows, I'm going to jump over here to the actual blue post. There's an actual dev note talking about it. So from the Shadows has been renamed to the Houndmaster Stratagem, whatever. The thing here says, the tooltip of the Houndmaster Stratagem has been updated to the following. Dreadbite causes the target to take 20% additional Shadow Flame damage from your spells and abilities for the next 12 seconds. Now, the dev note here explains it a bit more. I can find this over here. It is intentional that From the Shadows, now called the Houndmaster Stratagem, does not benefit Demonic Tyrant or your other pets. We're updating the wording of this tooltip to clarify. So, From the Shadows has, up until Dragonflight Beta, From the Shadows has indeed increased the damage of your Tyrant, Demon Fire damage, when you had Demonic Consumption and things, by 20%. Now, the interesting thing about Houndmaster Stratagem, previous FTS, was that if you put your dogs into your Tyrant, it wouldn't always guarantee you, as long as I remember correctly, full coverage of From the Shadows, unless they rechomped with Carnivorous Stalkers and things. So, there's a little bit of RNG mixed in there. We can do a brief Tyrant setup here. There's a little bit of RNG mixed in there, but for the most part, having it affect Tyrant's damage, I think overall is pretty cool. It was sort of thematic and flavorful. It brings a bit of variance to it with, having having decon / Reign of Tyranny be a thing again, but yeah, I still like it being around. I don't know, it just sort of is what it is, right? Now, if my dogs hadn't actually rechomped here or reprocced Houndmaster Stratagem through Carnivorous Stalkers here, I wouldn't have full coverage in this Tyrant until I had my next dog set ready to go. But the thing with Dragonflight is that, so when it came to From the Shadows, it buffed non-Reign of Tyranny Tyrant damage. So if you're playing Grand Warlock's design, it buffed that Tyrant. If you're playing Reign of Tyranny, I've heard two different things. Either it didn't buff that Tyrant damage at all, or it buffed the non-Reign of Tyranny part of the Tyrant damage. Either way, Reign of Tyranny was not getting the effect from the Shadows / Houndmaster Stratagem for all of Dragonflight. Grand Warlock's design was, but once again, those Tyrants are very minuscule. We're playing Reign of Tyranny in 10.1, it looks like now, so if you're looking at rot builds or whatever, not really changing much. I think it should affect both, but, what can you do? So that was changed to, all that and everything else. Moving on here to Destro, so a few changes here. Now, Ruin no longer affects Channel Demon Fire. They've taken the actual damage out of Ruin and put it right into Channel Demon Fire. If I can leave combat here, which is an impossible task in our demons, maybe we can do it at some point. Ruin no longer increases the damage of Channel Demon Fire. Channel Demon Fire, however, has had its damage increased by 20%. So they've taken the actual part of Ruin, just put it straight up into CDF. I've heard there's a rumor it's not working. I'm not sure if it's actually, fixed. I'll look at it tomorrow or something like that, but in addition to that, Shadow Burn damage has been increased by 20%, but it does not work in PvP. So some buffs here and there at Destro. I'd assume CDF was going to get buffed because of, I guess, the lack of damage it has with the 2-piece, 4-piece. Now, moving on to the Warlock tier overhaul. The set bonus of 2-piece is still very similar to where it was before. Channel Demon Fire bolts, Immolate and Incinerate have a chance to fire an additional Demon Fire bolt. So similar, not a whole lot changed there. I believe they removed the 20% portion of that, I think, but I'm not really sure. The 4 set, however, is what's changed. So this is a complete new 4 set. Demon Fire bolts, which are launched passively by Channel Demon Fire, increase your fire damage by 1% for 13 seconds, stacking up to 8 times. Gaining a stack does not refresh the duration. Now, this clause was not here. It was added later on in this post here. It's not on the tier bonus currently. So if you get on PTR, I won't say that here. However, casting Channel Demon Fire resets this effect, which is actually very important because I assume Blizzard wrote this up earlier and just didn't post it before, everything went live on PTR. But we noticed very quickly that if you end up casting Channel Demon Fire, so CDF for me currently is a 21-second cooldown. I get in combat here, it'll be 19, 18-ish with Flashpoint because its actual cooldown is based around your current haste. So let's say I get in combat here. The buff, I have a weak aura for it here. It's a little like Shadow Flame Eyeball. Watch how fast CDF stacks the effect. 8 stacks is the cap. So here we go. We're playing Soulfire here. We're going to Soulfire too, so why not? We're going to Soulfire into a Conflict Rate and a CDF. Conflict Rate, watch the stacks. Here they all come. So CDF is a guaranteed max stack of this effect for 13 seconds. The problem, though, was that if there wasn't a reset clause on it or whatever, you would probably get, you would get a drop of the effect right now, and you would have CDF about 5 seconds later. If you got a proc before then, like right now, if you went into your CDF, it would stack it to full, but you only get, 6, 7, 8 seconds of the 8 stack, or less than 13. So a cancel aura was, mandatory, but they added that clause in later on. So while it's not working currently on PTR that way, it doesn't, basically the effect that overrides is not active on PTR. Next week, I assume it will be fixed, but if you're on PTR this week, testing whatever, I would use a cancel aura for CDF. So whenever you cast it, it guarantees the full 8 stack for the full duration, but it's a good catch on Blizzard's part. Don't want to use cancel auras for rotational stuff. So, yeah, so let's get into some of the damage testing in single target and AoE and talk about the bug in AoE because it's actually pretty wild. So when it comes to a single target, I think this is likely pretty close to, if not the optimal build right now for Destro on PTR. A thing to make note of here, I don't think it's worth playing Raging Demon Fire at this point. I think your 2-piece currently right now for Destro is pretty underwhelming. It's very underwhelming. You'll look at it in a minute here. The 4-piece is what you want. The 8% damage increase, which is active for a good portion of the time. Keep in mind, CDF's cooldown is reduced by your current haste level. So with like Lust and Flashpoint, you're looking at a 15-second CDF, basically maintaining the buff for a little while until haste effects fall off. Now, unlike PS, Vitality, and Grimoire Felguard, they don't have talents. Those abilities don't have things like Raging Demon Fire that build upon them. Take Vitality, PS, one of the two, that's it. Take Grimoire Felguard, that's it. It does feel awkward having your tier bonus revolve around CDF and have a talent that builds upon CDF not be worthwhile. But I think the Destro tree is just so tight when it comes to abilities you want in single target, 2 target, stack cleave, spread cleave, AoE. It's hard to justify Raging Demon Fire over like maybe even EP, but certainly over other effects like, I don't know, Burn to Ashes or Backlash or whatever. So I'm going with this for now. Sack's not worth it anymore for Destro, it seems in Sims. It's full Soulfire build. Godspeed. I will say the servers are very laggy now, but we'll do our best and go from there. So I want to show you what the 2-piece essentially does in single target. So the big thing here, high uptime on the 4-piece. We're playing our cancel aura macro because it's still not working properly, but we can get this to work pretty well. So we're going to go in here, precast Soulfire to kickstart our damage. Put my Infernal down roughly. I'm going to Conflict Rate. I'm going to cast a Chaos Bolt and then CDF. We have Eradication rolling, Burn to Ashes rolling, Roaring Blaze, all that stuff. Cast a Bolt here, caught the Madness, perfect. We begin our Bolt dump. Now, look at my CDF cooldown currently, 18 seconds. And if we have Bloodlust and things rolling here, it's even shorter. So you can maintain this effect pretty easily during your opener with just haste effects, whatever, what have you. The 4-piece to me seems like, it is the big reward. Like, and the actual effect does say fire damage increase, but I will say we checked. Chaos Bolt is indeed whitelisted. I just can't. Oh, so far it's not on cooldown. That's why. Chaos Bolt is indeed whitelisted as a spell that it will affect. So you do indeed get value out of casting it and casting Chaos Bolt. Chaos Bolt is buffed by the effect. So there's that. We cast a Bolt here. Cast a Soulfire to kickstart our damage again. And keep it rolling. Now, I was hoping for the 2-piece, the raw purple Demon Fire Embers that give a stack or so. All these things. We can launch a CDF here. Those little purple ones are flying there. To be like 4.5%, 5% in single target for a relatively impactful 2-piece. And it varies a bit depending on CDs and RNG and when you look at things, but unfortunately, this is what I got. About 1.8 to 2%. And the highest I saw was 2.1. The lowest was 1.5. It is a pretty unimpactful two-piece. You have to look at it from a scope of early progression, right? Where also my eyeball is just doing insane damage again. Welcome to Warlock. Early progression. How relevant is this class's two-piece? Not in a world first guild like Liquid or Echo or whatever. Everyone's going to have their four-piece. In a guild like mine, we're Hall of Fame. We're not like, world first. How relevant is this class's two-piece for XYZ? If you're playing Demo all over the place and it's insane, sure, feed it to him. But Destro's two-piece seems to be very, very subpar. Doing 1.5 to 2% of your damage in a single target. But the reward, once again, is the four-piece. Now, we can look at it here in AoE in a second. I will say it is bugged in AoE. And the two-piece carries hard in AoE due to that bug. But what I hope to see happen, I think a great way to fix this would be to obviously fix the bug in AoE. We'll look at it in a minute here. Putting that aside, I think a good way to fix this would be just double the proc chance of the two-piece. Because every single CDF bolt, the baseline green ones that launch here, once again, they give you a guaranteed stack. You're getting 8 stacks its effect every single time you cast CDF. The RNG ones, the purple ones there, those are the 1 in 5 chances from the actual bolts themselves having a chance to reproc them, if that makes sense. So you get roughly, I'd say 3 to 4 from a typical non-Raging Demon Fire CDF cast, which is fine. If that was like 6 or 7, it would put it somewhere, I'd assume, in like the 4% range, somewhere like around here-ish, below your pet. Not incredible, but once again, it's only a two-piece bonus, right? I think that'd be cool. Double the effect. It'd be a damage increase, and it would also be a visual like just increase. Because the green or red and like purple fire looks really, really cool, but you only get 1 or 2 procs, at least in single target. So I think doubling the proc rate would be very cool. Look at this, for example. That's the bug. So it's 6 in the morning. I'm gonna be lazy here and show you this. This is a clip from stream earlier with THD. So the bug you're going to see here, basically, it is scaling exponentially or quadratically, whatever. I live in Florida. I don't know what words are applicable, but it's the same bug, from what I understand, what it looks like, that Guillotine had during beta. The more targets you have, it looks like the small bolts from CDF are cleaving and proccing the two-piece more and more. You'll see the purple effects come out of our hands at the end here. There's an infinite amount of procs. He had 2,000 damage events. I had 1,800. Over the course of a second and a half. All right, drums.
Okay, we have drums now? Okay, well, just wait. Let them group.
Right about here.
Alright.
CDF.
Ripping it.
Look at our damage. That is all from one ability.
Okay.
That is all from one channel
button
Demon
to
Fire
fire
cast.
decay or whatever.
Right? This is simply one CDF cast. This is not, casting a million Rain of Fires. There's no Infernal even down here. I cast a Rain of Fire, an Immolate, and hit my CDF. And you can see all the purple fly out here in a second. Watch how much purple flies out here at the end comparatively to single target. Right about, it's a complete, look at all the, it's insane. So it's very cool. It's bugged. It's well known. It's not some secret or anything. It's going to get fixed, I'd assume, very quickly. It's very cool to see. It's a lot of damage. I'm surprised the server didn't crash. Now, you can look at it here as well. Basically, there's 5 targets here. You can see how... I'll even open up an AoE. We can change builds here. So we'll go into AoE stuff. We're playing a Fire and Brimstone build here. I'll change to just regular AoE. No big deal. I'll keep it as Fire and Brimstone. That's fine. It doesn't make a difference either way. You'll see the actual breakdown of damage being much more skewed towards CDF due to the bug. So let's go in here. And briefly, we'll open up. Put a few inlays up. There's no flashpoint here. It is what it is. Put the Infernal down, pop a Trinket. We'll go CDF. Look at all the purple flying, which is very cool, but very strong. Start throwing some Rain of Fires here. And I'll show you over the course of this test here. Like, it's a lot of Rain of Fire damage, 100%. But you get a lot of CDF damage as well, due to the bug. And this is only 5 targets. Going to an Alcathar's Academy, a place with 10, 15, 20 targets, it becomes even more insane. But look how cool that looks visually. And that's what I'm saying. Make the effect essentially doubled with the two-piece once the bug is fixed, and you'll have that visually going off every time. You also have, an increased damage effect. It won't be as wild in AoE, but it'll still be very stronger, and quite possibly worth making CDF castable in heavy AoE. Because the actual 8-stack bonus is very strong, 100%, but it still feels like when I'm in an insane shard gen window, casting a bunch of Rain of Fires, it's a bit awkward stopping and going, okay, I want a CDF here, right? But it's sort of a mix depending on RNG and refunds and all that kind of stuff. But either way, we'll CDF one more time here. Purple Extravaganza. Damage breakdown. This is the 2-piece at 10%. This is actual CDF at 8%. So it looks like CDF, like the actual effect, might be worth casting damage-wise, sort of, in AoE, with stacked AoE being a thing. It'll once again bring the universal 8% damage increase to every fire spell you have, which affects rain of fire, affects immolate, incinerate, everything you cast. But this right here is the purple missiles. This is the 2-piece. I've seen it at about 10% being the highest, much higher obviously in things like Alglar's Academy with 20 targets being out there. This will get nerfed. It'll get fixed, I should say. But it's cool to see. If you want to have fun with it, hop on PTR and give it a shot for a little while, but it likely will be nerfed pretty quickly. Also, I want to clarify, when I said nerfed, I mean fixed. It's a bug. THE talked about it. We all talked about it. It's a bug. It'll be fixed soon. There's no nerfs coming. The ability's busted. Hitting one button should not burst you to 600k DPS over the course of a second. I'm surprised the server didn't crash with 4,000 damage events over the course of a second. But yeah, that should be it, dudes. Hopefully help clarify a bit more on the Destro bonus today. Demonology is still not working with the Grimoire Felguard extensions. Affliction appears to be the same. Raid testing is Thursday this week. They canceled normal again. So we have Thursday with 2 mythic bosses. The heroic boss was canceled again, so I assume it's probably a disaster, and that's why normal's not around. But I'll be doing that on stream on Thursday. It should be a bug-free, nerfed playing field for all of us. We'll see where Warlock's sitting at that current point in time, but even with the nerfs coming in, this is still a pretty good Warlock raid, I think. We haven't seen Destro or Demo at full power. Half's been pretty wild for a while with bugs, but a lot of these fights are single target emphasis. Stat, cleave, all that. Destro, Demo, Af, they can all make pretty good work of those fights. So we'll see where it goes, but yeah. As far as my thoughts on Destro 2-piece, 4-piece, I think that as far as if they want to keep it based around Channel Demon Fire, which is a theme, talents being Grimoire Felguard, PS, Vitaltain, CDF, it's probably about as good as it's going to get, unless they just say, hey, we're getting rid of the CDF clause and we're going to overhaul it completely. Because the problem with it before was you want the bonus to be universally applicable. It works in single target, stat cleave, spread cleave, heavy AoE, and this one sort of does. It might not be as impactful in certain spots as others, but a flat damage increase works in those settings. A 2-piece, pretty underwhelming. In single target it is. I assume in AoE it's probably pretty lackluster too once they fix the bug. Likely increasing the proc rate by 50%, or I guess 100%, double it basically. Would probably fix that, at least make it a lot more competitive and exciting to play. It feels okay. I feel like hitting the button could feel more exciting, but we're getting there, and that's that. So in the end, if it's good, we'll play it. CDF is more or less a maintenance buff now, as well as being an okay damage dealer, but it is what it is. So let me know what you guys think about these changes, the new tier set and all that in the comment section below. Any questions, put them on there as well. As always, I'll be sure to get back to you. Week Wars add-ons profiles, links to Twitch and Discord also in the description. We're all for free for you guys. As usual, I want to give a huge shout out again to my patrons for in the video. Guys, thank you for all support on Patreon 10,000 times. I really appreciate it. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing for you guys. And yeah, I appreciate. And once again, heads up, the 10.1 Warlock PTR spreadsheet, like usual, will be live in about a week or so on Patreon. The tier 3 Felguard rank or higher gets early access to that if you're interested. Links up here as well as down below somewhere. And yeah, I don't know. I'm pumped for testing this week. I'm a little curious to see where Warlock lands. The other, I mean, Frost DK was nerfed, Marks was nerfed, I believe BM was nerfed, something else was nerfed too. A lot of the high outliers were nerfed a good bit. And Demo is doing pretty well last testing towards the end with Nether Portal stuff. And Demo, while we had bugs present last time for Warlock and testing, Demo is the spec that's affected the least by the bugs because it wasn't really our damage that Demo deals. It's pet damage. And, the bugs were us and yeah, so we'll see where it goes. I'm excited. Hopefully next week, if there is actually a Demo bug and not working with the Grimoire Felguard, it's fixed and then we can go from there. So you will see. I'll keep you all in the loop. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.